All right. Now, as I made this project, I found that I was running short on papers, so I would recommend that you shop specifically for this project, unless you have a very large stash. I would say mine is just average. So, my sample that I made with this one is with Creative Memories, the Earthy Power Palette, with the exception of a few of the embellishments. And then, of course, you'll need to bind it all to make this. And for the frame of the calendar, I used just the chipboard packaging that like your paper packs come in, or I use Creative Memories albums, and so the page protectors always have a few of those in them. So I always just save those because you never know when they'll come in handy. And this project is one of those examples. So the first thing is you'll need 2 sheets of 12 by 12 or approximately 12 by 12 chipboard, and you'll need to cut it down. And I would probably recommend a basic gray magnetic mat would be the best way to do this. I don't have one, so actually what I did was I just took my old paper trimmer and I popped out the blade, if I can get it up here, because I always have two paper trimmers, so I used my old one. Excuse me, that messes in the way. And then use your X-Acto knife. Just make sure that you have a really sharp blade. I just changed it and it worked much better. So use a really sharp brand new blade, and then I just cut along. Use this as the guide to make the cut. So you need you need 2 cuts of chipboard that are 7 by 10.5 inches. You'll need 2 pieces that size and 2 pieces that are 2 by 10.5 inches. Excuse me. And so go ahead and make those cuts, and I'll also have a complete list of the specific cuts that you need available on my blog so that you can get them easier that way, and you don't have to take notes as you're watching. And then you'll need quite a few sheets of patterned paper. To cover that, you'll need 2 sheets of patterned paper that are identical, and you'll also need 2 more sheets of identical patterned paper. And the samples that I'm going to be working with, I have one that I'm going to kind of make with you and one that I have half the steps done. Both of those are from the My Mind's Eye paper stack that I got at Costco a couple years ago, and I'm still finally finding ways to use it all up. That was definitely an abundance of paper. And I would probably, for this part, you would really want a patterned paper, weight paper. You don't want cardstock for this part because it would be really hard to get the tight creases that you'll need to get. So what we need to do is, the first thing that you need to do is to adhere your 2 pieces that you want to show on the outside together. And this is a great use for the ATG gun. If you have one of the bigger Xyrons, go ahead and use it, but it will use up a lot of adhesive. I don't actually like to scrapbook with my ATG gun. It's too big. But it works great for things like this, but you really want a high tack, and that you're going to be using a lot of adhesive. It's a great use. Okay, so what you're going to do is put an outline of adhesive on one sheet, and then you're just going to adhere, line the other one up and adhere it over. And I didn't get that quite perfect, but that's okay. And then the next step is going to be, and I'll just kind of skip this step, I'll just show you what to do. Then you'll want to adhesive all the way around on one of your blocks and lay it down. Let me move this just a skosh. And lay it on your paper, and you'll do the same thing with the two smaller strips, and you'll leave about 3/8 of an inch. So that's somewhere between just between a quarter and a half an inch. You can just eyeball it; it doesn't have to be exact. And spread them out. So you'll have the 7-inch piece, 2-inch piece, 2-inch piece, and then you'll adhere down the last 7-inch piece, and then you will have a little bit of extra, and I think I actually got too far ahead on this. Then you'll need to trim it off, and be sure to leave about 3/4 of an inch. As you can see here, I've already folded it down, but leave 3/4 of an inch, and I snipped the corners. You want to fold the long edges first, and then I snipped the corners in to make the top fold down. And then I also, after I folded it down, I snipped it again so that it would lay nice and flat. So this is what you'll see from the outside. And so now what we need to do is hide the inside, because as you can see on the final copy, final assembly, we do have another pattern paper in there so that it still looks pretty when you look at it from the outside. Okay, so for that, we're going to take 2 more sheets of paper that matches. They have to be the same sheets. And you'll need to cut that to 10 inches wide, and then you'll need 17 3/4 inches long of paper, which means that you'll use one 10-inch sheet and then cut the other sheet. Actually, I cut it at 6 1/4, and then glue them together the same as we did for the other and overlap them. And now we will go ahead and glue it down. And I glue both on the calendar base and the paper. So, and I glued down on these voids here. And then we will also glue around the edges of the pattern paper. And just so you know, when you guys are making this project, I thought it was pretty time consuming. I usually like to do projects, that are half hour. I'm not somebody to spend a few hours or several hours on one project. So maybe they would go faster once, since I'm giving you all the measurements and everything, but it was a little more time consuming than what I probably would normally shoot. Okay, so we have all of our adhesive and that, and then we are just going to adhere this down to the covered chipboard that we already have. And then we are done for now, and we'll set that aside. If you wanted to kind of, be sure to get that beneath the creases. You can kind of fold it and make sure that it does fold, and you'll want to fold it into a W shape. Make sure that it folds right, and then we're done with that now, so we can set that aside and continue to work on the next step, which you will need 12 sheets of paper that is cut to 11 inches and 5 3/4. And so you'll actually need 6 sheets of pattern paper that all kind of correspond, and this all came from the wild asparagus stock from My Mind's Eye. So it's not all exactly the same, but it kind of matches. It works. Okay, and so what you'll do is you'll fold those in half, and then we need to cut out the tab, the circle, for the calendar to pull out. And so to do that, and I will have these measurements on the blog as well, you'll need to punch 4. You have 3 different places that you're punching the circle, and you'll need to punch 4 of each of those. So we'll take the first one, and we need to make, for the first one, the punch needs to be at, it needs to start at 1 inch, and it will end at 2 1/4 inches. And I'm using my Creative Memories circle punch, and you want to use the 1 1/2 inch. You can use whatever punch you want as long as it's a 1 1/2 inch circle. 1 1/4 would probably work better, but then your measurements are going to be, it would probably work okay, but your measurements are going to be off. So I would use the 1 1/2. And I'm just going to flip it upside down, line my marks up, punch, and there you are. And so you'll need to do that for the next one, which will be at, the first mark should be at 2 1/4, and then 3 1/2. And what I did once I got the first one cut was I just used the template, the first one that I cut as a template, and so then I just took them and marked, and I thought it was easier than measuring them each out. And then your last one will need to be at, and I should have prepped these all ahead, I didn't prep enough, will be at 3 1/2, and then you'll come down to 4 inches. That's not right. I don't have my notes right here. 1, 2, so it'll start at 3 1/2, and then you'll come down to 3 1/2, 4. It'll come down to 5 inches. Something like that. I'll have those measurements on the blog. Sorry about that. I thought I had it, but I guess I've got my notes mixed up. Okay. So now you will have all of these. I will actually just punch these later. You'll have all of your 12 calendars folds done, and then you'll also need 14 strips that are 2 inches by 11 inches, and these are also going to be folded in half. And you'll need 14 because you need 10 numbers, 0 through 9, and you'll also need 4 more for them for the other part of the calendar, so you'll have 0, 1, 2, and 3. And so you'll need 14 of these strips all folded in half, And I'm going to turn the camera off and finish up that prep work so that then we can continue on with the next step. So just a minute here.